of Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course MMPC-007 Business Communication for MBA program. Presenting Block 4 Communication in Organization, Unit-15 Ethics in Communication, Part-2. In Part 1 we have discussed Introduction, Ethical Framework, Ethical Communication, Values in Communication. In Part 2, we will discuss Individual versus Organizational Values, Key Elements of Ethical Communication, Evaluation of Ethical Communication, Summary of the unit. Let us listen to the program.
Individual versus organizational values. Most of the time, individual values extend to the organization. Organizations value an individual's values and in turn get affected by the core values which populate the culture of the company and what the business stands for. This corporate culture not only influences the strategic decisions but also the day-to-day operations, including how employees are recruited, trained, treated, and parted with. Personal values are prioritized as per the choice and happiness that an individual derives from the values that she or he professes. Core values are the ones that have the highest priority for an individual. Here, the question arises whether the same values that an individual cares for are translated to his or her professional life. Personal values as well as corporate values guide an individual and an organization while making decisions and contemplating actions. They demarcate one individual or an organization from another. The major difference between personal and organizational values is that individual values are explored whereas organizational values are typically chosen, pre-decided, and developed. They align with the organization's goals and assist in creating an ideal working environment for the employees. This is where the concept of value congruence comes into picture. Value congruence is the compatibility of personal values of an individual with that of his or her surroundings. This has a positive impact on employee behavior, which in turn leads to a better job fit. This parameter is also used while recruiting employees. The social media, company website, and corporate publications like annual reports all communicate the values propagated and followed by an organization. Most organizations will have common values like integrity, competence, teamwork, autonomy, creativity, work ethics, professionalism, social emergence. Organization should propel the enhancement of value congruence between the value of people and organizational values while also making evident efforts in reducing value incongruence. This process is facilitated by socialization and information sharing activities, creating platforms for communication between employees and co-workers, managers, board of management, and other stakeholders. This developed trust among employees, thus driving more commitment from them towards organizational values. Transformative leaders make efforts to ensure that personal values are in line with organizational values to drive more commitment from employees. This increases their motivation and the involvement in tasks allotted to them. It can be concluded that value congruence develops and inspires effective communication and trust amongst employees and their managers or supervisors. Acknowledging and understanding the individual difference in values of people can help them manage them better. Key elements of ethical communication. Ethical communication integrates the essentials of communication which include the objective of communication, the message itself, and the consequences or actions post the communication. The ethics related to the message are always on the forefront. The sender has to make a precise decision on what to say and how to say. With the freedom of choice comes the responsibility and accountability as well. The freedom increases when the communication is conducted within the closed circle. The choice of attentiveness and response lies with the listener. This freedom reduces during communication with strangers and is a challenge because the context and the situation in which the message is intended and received may be different. This further complicates when the communication is happening in cross-cultural settings. Therefore, while communicating, the key elements should be kept in mind. These are: first, objectives; second, morality; third, consequences. Objectives. Overall goals, values, emotions, and perceptions influence how individuals respond. The process may also be influenced by the values, beliefs, and the concentrated intentions of the individuals. The organizational culture creates an envelope where all these aspects are either subdued or intensified. The organizational structure creates positions of power due to organizational hierarchy. Some communications which are indispensable may not always be pleasant. The individual's personality in this case plays a deciding role in how the communication will be executed. The individual's choice to respond to difficult circumstances suggests the quality of the environment in an organization and may contribute in shaping it in the future. Morality. Being truthful is imperative, but sometimes the truth hurts. Thus, framing the communication without sacrificing the objective of communication increases the morality involved in communication. Using the subtle art of deception could cross the line of ethical standards at times. Therefore, it should be ensured to disclose the truth carefully and compassionately, thereby achieving the fulfillment of constructive objectives of communication. There are times when individuals are in conflict between speaking the truth and hurting others. Ethical standards suggest that truth should be exposed through compassion and care to develop trust and understanding. Time and again, it has been discovered that means are the end in making. Means, hence, should be devised to ensure that the end is achieved with a high level of morality. For example, achieving a sales target early at the cost of lying about the safety precautions of your product versus explaining the truth about the product, attributes, and to what extent the safety precautions will operate, and then executing sale. Consequences. The consequences derived at the end of the communication are a logical sequence to the objective and means of communication. It is quite possible that noble intentions and ethical means lead to unpleasant consequences. People initiating a conversation have to weigh the magnitude and direction of the consequences that could follow a communication. For example, a news report on a scam about a bank drafted with the objective to create awareness and with truthfulness and transparency may lead to grave upheaval amongst shareholders and or customers. It becomes the moral responsibility of the sender to evaluate all the aspects. Though it is difficult to appropriately predict the consequences on all the stakeholders, yet a thought on the possible consequences should be judged. In totality, ethical communication should consider the intention or objective of communication, the means used to convey the intention, and the possible consequences of the communication. Of course, there are more complexities related to ethical communication, yet these three could operate as the most essential elements of designing ethical communication. Evaluation of ethical communication. Most organizations at some time or other could face some common ethical issues. Using work computers for personal or non-work activities is a very common issue that organizations are facing today. This could be related to stealing also, where employees do not mind using the property and time of an organization for personal use. Employees also indulge in lying for various reasons like asking for leave, getting or keeping their job, getting advance money, etc. Creating false impressions at the workplace is another common practice. It is a common activity among employees to portray what they are actually not to get accolades and praises. Employees also get into the act of using organizational activities for personal benefits like getting a bribe for getting a contract signed for a supplier, etc. Confidential information, when divulged to outsiders, is an unethical task. Similarly, hiding information for personal good is critical. Taking an unfair advantage is a common phenomenon in organizations. For example, charging extra for products at the time when the demand is the highest. A very good instance was during the pandemic when the price of masks and some life-saving medicines rose obnoxiously. Knowingly reducing the efficiency and performance of an organization can also be deemed as unethical. Stories related to sexual harassment, physical violence, emotional abuse are common at workplaces. Organizational abuse also adds to the peril. Employees tend to violate common rules of the organizations. For example, violating simple rules of dress code in an organization. Ethical dilemmas amongst workers also at times pushes them to make decisions on the wrong side of the spectrum. Ethical issues occur at a time when either the communication will have a significant impact on the audiences or is a conscious choice of means and ends or can be adjudicated as right or wrong. This process also includes ethical evaluation by the receiver. The ethical intent of the source and the ethical choices of the receiver are what play a significant role over and above the message. Ethical responsibilities vary as per the situation. The same individual might respond differently in different situations. Reading 1996 has raised 4 questions that should be asked in order to increase attention to ethics. These revolve around the following concerns. First, the communication that is designed for different types of receivers, which amongst them treats the message as unethical. Second, why is the communication treated as unethical and what are the parameters that are used for evaluating the ethicality of the message? Third, what is the connection of the ethicality of these messages and the organization culture and to what extent do they affect the culture? Fourth, what are the repercussions of communication that is deemed as unethical? How does this unethical communication and other individuals or processes with others in the organization and the society as a whole? This study conducted by Range 1990 has also contributed to the understanding of communication ethics. He evaluated the research conducted on ethical communication and arrived at the following areas of attention. First, the moral worth of communication behaviors varies with the set of people involved. Second, unethical behavior evidently occurs in business. Third, these unethical behavior do give results in the short run. Fourth, communication ethics in business usually revolve around all functional areas of a business. Fifth, ethical beliefs guide the behavior of an individual. Sixth, honesty and trust are the most significant parameters of business communication ethics. Seventh, the demographics and psychographics, that is age, gender, perception, etc., of an individual influence the ethical values, beliefs and behaviors. Eighth, Both written and oral communication form a part of business communication. There are multiple theoretical perspectives that a person can comply with while determining the ethical stand of communication. The communication ethics theories suggest how communicative behavior is viewed and understood. It can therefore be concluded that ethics is a difficult term and it is a tough task to segregate business communication between good and bad. Even when there are some given ethical perspectives, yet most of them are relevant based on the context and situation. Ethical business communication is a complex activity and takes considerable effort to reach a conclusive stand. The responsibility of the consequences of communication, both short-term and long-term, are in the hands of the parties involved in the process. Summary. In this unit, we discuss the concept of ethical communication and how it can be applied to the business world. Ethics and communication have meanings that are largely diversified. Ethics in communication refers to the application of ethical considerations in practicing communication. It refers to the process of sharing honest information with sincere intentions. When practicing ethical communication, it also means that you will not tolerate communication that demean an individual's existence and human values by the acts of misinterpretation, terrorizing, compulsion, vehemence, partiality, and hatred. It includes both internal and external communication. We studied that truthfulness, accuracy, honesty, and reason are guiding principles to the ethical communication and acceptance to communication initiated by others before evaluating it is the first step to commencing an ethical communication. Values are the foundation of ethical communication, and individual values influence and shape organizational values. Organizations prefer to recruit employees whose value system is in line with the organizational value system. Communication that encompasses the specific needs of an individual with compassion and understanding should be promoted. All courageous expressions should be encouraged rather than being condemned. We also discussed various ethical lapses that are common in modern business, which include: first, purloin, that is, stealing; second, untruthfulness; third, fallacy; fourth, conflicting interests; fifth, masking irrelevant information or exposing critical information; sixth, duping; seventh, personal corruption; eighth, interpersonal abuse; ninth, organizational abuse; 10th, rule violations; 11th, unethical acts; and 12th, moral misbalance. To summarize it, it can be said that individuals themselves have the onus of ensuring conduct of ethical communication.
You are listening to audiobook by School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code MMPC-007 Business Communication. Block 4, Unit-15, Part-2. Course Coordinator Professor Neeti Agrawal from School of Management Studies IGNOU. Voiceover by Santosh Bharati. Edited by Tarannum Jahan. Program assisted by Jagbandhu Jana. And program produced by Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.